Hey, how are you? Welcome to this Made by Megan tutorial video, and this is the card we're going to make today. It's a shaker card. There you go, using some pretty sequins and featuring the Fraser Bird stamp set there. So you'll find the stamp set in your catalogue. It's a part of the Bird Ballad suite. Again, a suite has one order code and one cost, and you can purchase, makes it easy to purchase everything involved in that suite. You can of course buy the bits and pieces separately, like the ribbons and the paper and the stamp set. The stamp set and the really cool stitched shapes dies there are in a bundle with 10% off. That's page 1991, and just across the page there's a close-up on that beautiful paper there, and then the stamp set at the bottom. Okay, we will be using the birch background stamp as well, and you can find all the background stamps on page 156, so we'll be using that one. Alrighty, let's get started. So the card we're making today, we'll be using a smoky slate card base and a gorgeous grape piece of the Suttles Designer Series paper, and that comes in a 6x6 stack. I'm just going to pop that aside for now, back over here, because what we'll do is we'll start by stamping the birch on the card front. So I am going to take the stamp out. You'll see these are really big stamps, and I haven't got the block that fits them. Stampin' Up! Does have blocks big enough for these, but I find them really cumbersome in my hand. So what I like to do is, I've still got the backing on, I just pop it down and I just work with it on my worktop. So I'm just putting smoky slate ink on here, because we're going to stamp that onto the smoky slate card base. And what I'm going to grab is a block just to help me rub that and smooth that out. So I am going to place that down without moving it around and rub the block over it just to help get a nice smooth impression from the stamp. Okay, and this is just to provide a bit of texture and interest on the background, so it doesn't matter if it's not perfect. There you have it. Alrighty, I'll pop that aside and I'll give that a really good clean with my cleaning stuff later. I've just noticed there's a little bit there and I haven't got a rag to grab it, so I'll just get that with my fingies. So that's the background of the card base ready to go. I'm going to pop that aside for now, and I'm going to bring in that piece of Designer Series paper and the Whisper White piece. I have got all the details written in the tutorial post that goes with this, so go on over to my blog, madebymegan.blog, and have a look for all the dimensions and the step-by-step over there. I don't like to say them in my videos because I know myself and I tend to mix up my words a bit while I'm stamping, and especially when a camera is involved. So go and check out the blog post. And at any rate, that glue was a bit blocked, so I've just poked the end. Oh, there you go. And now it's going to go gangbusters. Right. Here we go. Oh, right, that should be plenty. Let's leave it at that. You might like to use tear and tape or a snail for sticking this layer down, and that's not a problem either. So I'm just going to stick that down and make sure all the borders are even. There you go, and then what we're going to do is run this through the big shot to die cut the oval from the middle. So I've got the layering ovals dies here, and I'm going to grab the largest one there. I'm going to grab my big shot. And I do apologise if this wobbles the table around a bit. I'll just run that through the big shot. Oh, that's a close-up. Right. I'm sure that's very interesting for you to look at. Here we go. Oops. Put that in there. Now you might have a magnetic base which will hold the die in place, or you might like to use a washi if you feel like it's going to jump around. I'm happy using it as it is. I've just centered it top to bottom, left to right, and I'm going to send that through now. Alrighty. Take that out. Just get that out of the way again. So there we go, I'll put that aside, we don't need that bit. And bringing back in that Designer Series piece there, I'm going to flip it over and get my window sheet. So I'm just going to see how it sits around the die cut oval to see where I need to put adhesive. I'm just going to put a couple of strips around there of tear and tape. I'm not going to worry about going around the whole oval, but I will just do a couple of strips here, here and here. And it doesn't matter if any sticks out past the window sheet, because there's not actually anything that's going to touch it. It's not going to stick to the card front, or no sequins are going to stick to any of this adhesive that's exposed, so I'm not going to be too fussy about that. Peeling is a bit of an issue with not very good nails, but hey, we're getting there. Oops. There we go. And I'm going to put that window sheet straight down. There we go. Not very tidy. You can see there's a bit that sticks out here, so that's what I mean. That's not actually going to stick to anything, so that's not a problem. I am, however, going to grab the foam adhesive strips next, and I'll just start with one strip. Just work with one strip at a time. So there's the pack there, and I'm just going to pull out a full strip. And this is really cool stuff because it actually bends to any shape, circles, squares, stars, anything you want to work with, it'll bend for you. Makes these shaker cards super easy. Nice and easy. There you go. So I've only got a little bit left. I'm going to pull out a full strap, but it right next to that last one. So this is where closing gaps is important, because this strap is going to be what holds in the filler, the shaker filler, in this case sequins. This excess I'm just going to put back on there, ready to use for the next one. Right, so what I want to show you at this point is I've not gone right to the edge of the die cut, the paper. I've left a bit of space. This means that from the front it's going to be hard to see the foam in behind. And it also means that if it's too far away from the edge of the paper, what the filling you put in will sit too low and won't be seen through your beautiful window sheet there. I forgot, we need a strip at each end to help hold that layer up. Okay, and this bit sits so close to the edge I'm not going to worry about adding anything there. Now, before we pop this down, this is what I did last time. I forgot, the ribbon. So, I think in my tutorial I talk about using Whisper Weight Baker's Twine. For this card, for this video, I wanted to use the scalloped, what is it called? Scalloped lace trim. It's actually a ribbon that coordinates with the Free as a Bird stamp set. Here we go. So I'm just going to, I always work with it on the roll. So I'm just going to tie that on there and tie a bow, and then I'll place it to the side where I want it. Oh, in fact, I've got enough to do that straight away. There we go. I'm just going to tie a bow with that. There. Okay. When I made my sample, I forgot to put this on first. That was a bit silly. I had to sort of carefully peel off the layer from my card front and put it in and all the rest of it. So I'm just making sure that the ribbon's not poking through from the back here. I think that looks good where it is. I'll just trim the edges, ends. Here we go. Scissors are getting blunt. I have to give them a sharpen. Right, so now I'm all ready to put this layer with the foam strips onto the card front. But before I do so, I'm going to get my embossing buddy, and I'm actually going to use that to rub on the, just carefully on the window sheet, and that's just going to take any sort of grease from your finger or static away that the sequins might stick to. I don't know if you noticed, but this is my sample, and sometimes you get it sticking around the edges of the foam strip, of the adhesive strip, and sometimes it's sort of they just sort of stick because of static and things like that. So that's why I just rub it around carefully. And I am going to pile up some sequins. Hi sweetie, I'm making a video. I'm going to come and talk to you afterwards, okay? Yeah, afterwards. Sounds good. I'm going to my son just asking if he's going to do his crafting. We'll get to do that afterwards. So I'm just going to pile that in the middle. Take the backing off the foam strips here. And there. Just bring that back to where I want it to sit because it's moved. There you go. And these foam strips. Alright. So just checking that all my bits are in the centre where I want them to sit. I am going to stick this on. Sort of looking through the camera for this. So just centering top and bottom, left and right. There we have it. And there is your basic shaker card done. Now it's just a matter of decorating. So I am going to go ahead and stick the Whisper White layer on the inside of the card. Oops, oh, that's come running out again. Right, let's do this. Just get a little bit of this and just going to find a little bit of scrap paper that I might be able to push some of that around with. Adhesive. There you go. And I'm going to put that on the inside of the card. There we go. Just making sure they're sort of lumpy. I had a lot come out in some spaces, so I'm just going to make sure they're not going to be too lumpy under the paper. I've stamped the large flower in the stamp set and coloured it. Now I use watercolour pencils and blender pens to do that colouring, and it gives you this really cool faux watercolour look, faux watercolour technique. I did the birds already. There you go. So that's using pencils, but taking the blender pen over it just smooths out the pencil lines. That's great. So now I want to stick this on the front, and when I used twine I had glued this on with tape, with like liquid glue or multi-purpose tape, and I'm wondering if that's going to be good again. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. Bit of liquid glue will be fine. And I'm trying to be careful with this glue. I put a big hole in. it in behind the bow and put the birdies there. Lovely. Just hold those for a second so that they set. The glue dries and it's all attached. Lovely jubblies. Now the last thing to do is the sentiment to go on the front. So this time I've chosen a sentiment from the Timeless Tulips stamp set, which is a Happy Mother's Day. And I've just got a strip of Whisper White here, so I'm going to stamp that in my Memento Black. Mother's Day is just around the corner, really. It's going to sneak up before we know it, I know. I can tell, especially with the COVID stuff going on in the country being in lockdown, it's very easy to lose track of days, isn't it? Okay, and just using my paper snips, I'm going to trim that off close to the words. There we go. I think that's quite good. And because this is going to sit over the ribbon here, I just need some adhesive on the top because the bottom half is actually going to sit against the ribbon. Now I'm just, I've got regular size dimensionals here. I wasn't able to order minis before we went into lockdown, but a full one is too wide for that piece, so I've just cut it in half to get it to fit over the ribbon the way I want it to. There you go. So there's our card, nice and easy shaker card. That's the one we've made today. It's gorgeous grape there and smoky side in the background, and this is my sample using crumb cake base in the So Saffron DSP. The sequins I've used in this one are the woven thread sequins assortment, and the one I used here is iridescent, I think, sequins assortment. There. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Makes a really good noise too. I hope you've enjoyed these projects, and I hope you enjoy reading the blog post to go with it. I'd love to see, if you have a go at making a shaker card, I'd love to see what you make. Find me over on Facebook, and the handle is @ Megan Tier Made. Go on over and find me, and I'd love for you to share photos of the projects you've been working on, and if you ever go at the shaker card, I'd love to see it. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, bye.